have you interest to? Do you not play the Comedy Cellar?
Oh, what a question.
This is Good One. I am Jesse David Fox, writer at Vulture and author of Comedy Book. My guest today is Michelle Buteau. We talk about the significance of being the first female comedian to ever film a special at Radio City Music Hall, co-creating the sitcom Survival of the Thickest on Netflix, in which she stars as Mavis, and how you can talk about anything or anyone on stage if you just make it funny and do it in a way that doesn't make anyone feel unsafe. We laugh. She cried, really so much that I almost cried, but I didn't. And overall, we have a damn good time. So here is Michelle Buteau. I am here with Michelle Buteau. Thank you so much.
Oh my God. Here. Thank you for having a bitch.
What is the funniest thing that happened to you this week?
I was on a flight home from LA. I believe that I left my wallet on that flight. The next day, I was supposed to go to Miami for my aunt's funeral. Couldn't find my wallet. Couldn't go to the funeral. Supposed to be a pallbearer. Supposed to do a reading. She was my favorite aunt. And I'm like, well, I have to believe in a higher power and just, get out of church hat and be like, this is for a reason. Also, no more purses that don't have a zip thing on top. Mm-hmm. This was the purse. It's open. It was on the overhead. I'm sure it fell out. And to me, I think it's hilarious because I'm 47, 21 from the waist down. You'll start that rumor. And I have to I'm like an 18-year-old that got drunk and lost its wallet or something. I have no cards. I'm living on Venmo.
Yeah.
I'm you know what I mean? You don't even want to know what I had to do to get the smoothie.
I have no idea.
I had to show my left tit.
But you got it.
I got it. So that's the funniest thing that's happened to me. And I'm sure Aunt Betty would enjoy the process.
The last time I was on a flight, I left my laptop.
Oh my God. Did you say goodbye to it?
Oh, I literally just put it in the little thing and be like, cool, I'm going to get my bag and then I'll get that. And then I got my bag and then left.
And then you left. Because that's what you do. I remember I went to Argentina one time when I was 28 and I had a debit card and it was one of those old school South American and you put it in and then you get the money and then I left. And I forgot my card in there. And that was my first day there. And I was completely fucked for the next 10 days. So you just have to pay attention or something. Because I'm so used to get in the car and then the money. Okay. Anyways.
So let's talk about Radio City. I want to talk about.
Oh my God.
So your last special was filmed at Radio City Music Hall. Mm-hmm. Can you walk me through the process to pick that venue?
I really like to move with intention. I feel if we're doing this crazy out of the box thing, why not? I feel like comedy has become such a regular job now where everybody's either an influencer or a TikToker or whatever. And it's just I'm a comedian. No one questions it anymore. It's just, and when I started, it was just you're a what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was almost I was going to have a blue camel toe and go to space. People were I don't got it. What's the journey? And, but now it's just kind of, I feel become this mundane thing. And so, and I'm the type of bitch, we're not promised tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to go out with a bang no matter what, and that's kind of how is how I live. And it's amazing that I'm able to save money because I'm champagne because we don't know. And when I was looking at venues, all the ones that I could really afford and I knew that I could fill those seats, everybody shot there already.
Yeah.
And they're awesome New York institutions, but I'm I don't want this to look like everybody else's special. I want it to look like mine, especially on a platform like Netflix, because, there's so much content. There's so many little thumbnails you can literally, it's where do I go?
Sure.
And, I feel why not put some thought into stuff? Because I look at specials and I'm I don't know if they're in New York or Ohio or where are we? It's just a maroon curtain and it just looks the same. And so I was working with Paige Hurwitz, who is Wanda Sykes' Sykes?
I guess it's technically Sykes'.
Sykes?
But you wouldn't say it.
Wanda's.
Yeah, Wanda's. Yeah.
Wanda's a producing partner. That's Wanda Sykes.
Yeah.
And, she's an amazing producer because I gave her like this like wish list of I wanted to feel like a New York City night out. I wanted to feel like a place that people have never been but always want to go. It should feel familiar but also like kind of exotic, like, oh my God, where are we?
Mm-hmm.
And Radio City Music Hall was like on the list, but I never thought I could do it because it felt like an episode of Say Yes to the Dress. And I'm looking at the Nina Paterno, whatever it's called, dress. And I'm like, I can't afford it. It won't fit. This won't work out, but I just want to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk in and I've been there before. I've been going there since I was like, I don't know, 6 for class trips. And like the seats are amazing and the stage is cool. And even all the workers there, all the union workers look healthy.
Yeah.
You know, they look like they're getting paid. They have manicures and nice feet. They definitely upgrade their pedicures to like a 10-minute massage. And I'm like, this is nice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is nice.
Yeah.
And then we started crunching the numbers. I'm like, this is difficult. Because the only special that I ever seen at Radio City Music Hall was John Mulaney's. And like, you know, John's huge. And I think he was there like the whole week or at least like a long time. And he used all the toys that building has to offer. And I was like, oh my God, if I can do this, I want to keep it simple. I want to keep it still in like the Butopia world where it's just like top titty meat, lip gloss,
mm-hmm.
a night out, disco. And, you know, I looked at other venues too. But I kept coming back to Radio City. And then I asked the people that, you know, showed us the venue, gave us the tour, what other female comedians have shot a special here? And they're like, no one. And then it almost became like a bad improv sketch. I'm like, no one, ever,
mm-hmm.
no one to shoot, to shoot one. And I was like, English is all of our first languages, but we're going in this like really dumb circle and no one is tapping out. And I'm like, can you look it up? And now we're all looking it up, but we need the Wi-Fi password for the. I was like, what is that? I just want to be sure. And then I got the goosies. And then my left nipple got hard because that's the one that still works. And I was like, this is bigger than me. This feels like a thing. Not that I need to do, but I should do. Like, I don't know. When that feeling hits you, you have to listen to it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to do this. It was so hard because I had just played The Beacon months before. And any comedian knows when you play a venue like that, you know, you've tapped your audience out, especially someone like me because I'm doing other things. And so I'm not like, I don't even know if people know that I do stand up sometimes because like, I remember when Butopia came out, people were like, oh, I hate when actors try to do stand up. I'm like, what? You know me from acting? That's wild.
The voice from The Circle does stand up.
Exactly. Like, I hate when hosts try to do stand up. It's just like, what? Okay.
Yeah. And for those who don't know the basics, like The Beacon's like 3,000 seats.
Yes.
I think like Radio City's like over 6,000.
6,000, yes.
And that means either you have to get all those 3,000 people to come or there's secretly a whole other group of people who, I mean, obviously you have more than 9,000 fans in New York City, but they have to be free that night and blah, blah, blah.
Like, oh my God. Yes. And they have to like want to come out and like the tickets, you know, I love to make my tickets affordable because I know what that's like to stretch your dollar and say, okay, I'm going to go out this one time this month, especially like go off Beyonce and Kendrick, but like I make money and I'm like, what? This is a mortgage payment with an HOA. So like what? So I want to make things affordable because I want people to come out in groups.
Yeah.
You know, comedy is a shared experience. You know, it's the restaurant with the tapas and the big tables. So like, let's do that. And it just felt perfect. It also felt like a takeover, you know? I always, especially like producing any tour, I want to make sure that the venue is by enough streetlights, mass transportation, you know, because I want like Black, brown, fat, queer people to, you know, move in the world and feel safe to wear whatever they want to wear, you know, to let those freak flag flies. Happy Pride, everyone. But like, I was like, oh, this is nice. But then you got to fill them seats. And that was crazy. And I couldn't, you know, the plan was to shoot 2 days, 2 shows. And I couldn't afford that. And then it was like, how about we do 2 shows in one night? Because typically you do an early show and a late show. And then you edit the best of the best together. and we couldn't do that. I was like, how do I fill? It was around 5,000 with camera kills.
Yeah.
And that's when you bring in the camera and you take up seats and stuff like that. But I was like, how do I fill 5,000? I cannot.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not on OnlyFans. Who's coming for this? Do you know what I mean? Even Wiki Feet, it's like a 3 out of 10. So I'm like,
fact check that.
Can we fact check that, Ibrahim? Oh, he's not here. Perfect. What's his name? Zach? Great. Yeah. So I took a chance on myself. I'm like, it's going to be a one take.
Yeah. I mean, so for context, specials,
Yes.
usually most comedians will shoot 2 shows because if one doesn't go well or if you want to cut together or whatever. Some comedians do 4, I believe.
Yes.
Gerard Carmichael shot 6 or 8 for Nathaniel. Like,
wow.
But
yeah.
small
but it was
clips,
a
you can
blue
do-
note. Yeah. So it was
so
like
you can-
what, 180?
Yeah. So, and with camera kills, who knows? But
Yeah.
it's like, it is really risky to do.
Yeah.
Literally no one ever does it other than the few. I feel like even if comedians shoot live specials, they do 2 shows.
Yes.
And then so they can have backups for when they re-edit it. Did you have to approach how you approach the set differently to be like, oh, I need to make sure I can do the set in a way where I will not mess up at all?
Yeah. So the set was, because it's such a big stage and I don't move around a lot. It was important for me to work with a set designer and a DP that understood how to make it feel intimate, even though it was big. I do a dance bit, how to make it feel comfortable, because sometimes you see people like women out wearing a gown and, we say the gown is wearing them, they're not wearing it. So I'm like, I need to be comfortable in this space. And I think we really achieved that. And even down to the, I'm a former editor. And so if I'm filming something, I'm always like outside of my body, just like that's the take, that's not the take. And so I'm just like a weirdo like that. And so even while filming, I'm like, when we ended it, the last joke I told, it was like an okay response. And then I just like did it again. And then like everyone caught on. They're like, yeah. And I was like, get up. Treat me like I'm Michael J. Fox at the end of Teen Wolf. I just made that basket covered in hair.
Yeah, I guess you can't tell the audience ahead of time. Like you also have to be really good because you're the only audience we have.
You
They
know
don't
what I mean?
realize that. They can't be in their head about that they're on camera too. And
Yeah. No, you got to take them for a little ride.
that part where you dance, it's a very extended dance bit. Did you put that in because you're like, I need a thing that like shows that I'm on this stage?
No, I started doing that dance bit like at City Winery when I first started workshopping the material, because I touch on social justice issues and personal stuff, but I'm also a goofy ass bitch and I love to dance. And if you see any entrance or exit of any morning show or late night show that I've done, I'm dancing.
Mm-hmm.
She's a thick Caribbean bitch from Jersey. Grab the back fat, spin me around, Colbert. You know what time it is? Come on, don't put me in a Zumba class. I'm gonna go right to the front and the back. Like I love to dance. I love to move my body in a joyful way. That is my free therapy. And I've always been that bitch. I mean, like even when I'm dancing, even when I'm cooking, I'm dancing. You know, so like, yeah, I was like, oh, let's just incorporate it. But it was true because that was a true story.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know what I was doing, so I just started to dance. And originally,
well, actually, can you explain basics of the story just if people haven't seen it?
Yes. Oh my God. So my husband is Dutch and he's really good at just drugs and being high, a little high, a dollop will do you, you know, a scotch. And I'm terrible. I'm just like a very friendly crackhead. I'm like, who are you? Where are you going? Do you want to buy my mango stick? I have no mango. I'm just like I remember he gave me an edible and we went to was it the Knicks game? That's the basketball team. And so I was a little too high, very high, and I felt like I was flying, like truly flying. Heartbeat in my ears. Was I driving off a bridge? I don't know. I did feel like I was, what was that movie with Keanu Reeves where everyone kept falling asleep?
Oh, The Matrix?
No, the other one. Oh, no, that's Leo DiCaprio.
Oh, Inception.
Inception. I felt like I was in Inception. I was like, in an elevator, stuck between.
Got it.
You know what I mean? I was like, I don't.
The world is moving and you're staying.
Yep. Yes. And I was like, I got to go. And the announcer was scary. And I was like, are we winning or losing? Are we all winners inside? Like it was. And then it was just like a lot of kneecaps and wedgies. And I was like, I don't feel safe. And I was right in the front. And, dry mouth from the weed and the popcorn. I was like, this is terrible. And as soon as like we were about to go, they put me on the celeb cam. And it was a celeb cam, but with like, I felt the bass in my voice. Like, I don't even know what they said, but it was like, you. And I was like, oh my God. And so, fight or flight, my fight is Rhythm Nation by Janet Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just started like doing that stuff. And then I got up and started dancing. And by the time I looked back up at the screen, I wasn't even on the screen. But I just kept dancing out the hallway, just like a sad Dominican Forrest Gump, bachatzing their way back to the exit. And I was like, this is wild. This is why I don't go outside.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I have people over, because I don't know how to act. So why did we bring this up?
Because that's the bit that has the dance.
Yes. And so originally, I was performing it to Rhythm Nation, and that was really fun, but we couldn't. Janet Jackson's estate never got back to us.
Got it.
So we couldn't use it. And I probably couldn't afford it.
Especially for paying for Radio City.
Especially for Radio City. So I was like, we don't need a hat on a hat. And so, I just wanted something 90s groovy, something that definitely gave you like a wigwammy, pleated skort vibe. Like something that would make Deborah Gibson happy and proud.
What I guess the question I was wondering is like, I think there's people, as a person who is so like invested in social justice, I'm curious your feelings of like, what is the value of a symbolic gesture like this, like the first woman doing a special at Radio City? Obviously there's cynical people like, oh, it's just symbolic gestures. These stuff don't actually do the work or whatever. And a person who does both this and also I think is quite invested in community organizing. I'm curious, what do you think the value of a thing like this is?
Oh my God, it's everything. It lives on forever and all of time. And it's a point of reference. And for me growing up, I didn't know that I could like do anything on camera because I never saw anyone like me. So how am I supposed to know? Someone with my body, how do they move on camera? How do they sit and stand? Everyone is, tucked behind a counter or in a kitchen or has an apron on or is like sweaty or is like a tired mom. And I'm just like, but just what about a beautiful bitch living her life in the world? And so that's why diversity is important. And then also in this day and age, with our actors union, if we don't work, we don't get health insurance. So what are we saying? There's just a community of people that don't deserve to get their holes checked because we don't want to write the story. Like, that's just so crazy to me. And so it's important to take responsibility for your platform if you are ever so lucky to have one.
The other thing about when I saw that you're doing it there, it made sense because like the thing I think about you is you're a comedian who truly has played everywhere. A lot of comedians say they can play everywhere, but then they ultimately just play the same two places. Where you have played everywhere coming up. And I thought it might be interesting to talk about certain rooms you played and tell a story or a moment that symbolizes what that experience was like for you, or just for people who don't see comedy in those spaces to get a sense of it. Can you tell me about performing at Therapy, the Hell's Kitchen gay club?
Oh my God. Therapy, beautiful gay lounge in the 50s, West 50s in Manhattan, closed down during COVID. I would do Electroshock Therapy was the name of the show, hosted by Adam Sank, who's awesome. I think he still does stand up, so check him out. But it was so dope because I called it the Gay Apollo. You're in a room on a Sunday night with half off quesadillas and Cosmos with gay men who just want to fuck. And if you can get on that stage and command their attention, then you can really go anywhere. Yeah, it didn't even matter what I was saying. It just like taught me confidence, truly, and just keep going. But then also it was like a beautiful community. Like I still talk to the managers that work there, and I had my bachelorette party there. Because it just felt like a safe haven,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any specific night or show from that time that you remember?
God, Al something or the other, who owned a comedy club here. He had a kid that was transitioning to become a woman, and then she brought her mom out, and we all got really drunk, and I kissed her mom. So it's like a wild time. It was just a wild, just kissing people's moms.
The story was gonna
I know, but I love hard.
Mm-hmm. What can you tell me about the Uptown Black rooms?
Oh my goodness, the Chitlin Circuits. also a confidence builder, but that was like if you could work a black room, you know, whether it's in the Bronx or Harlem or deep in Brooklyn, you can make money. Word. Because it's like, you know what I mean? Because it's a community. It's a small community, right? It's a tight-knit community. Like even doing Friday and Saturday nights at the New York Comedy Club with Seymour Swan, who grew up in the Chelsea Projects with the Wayans brothers and Whoopi Goldberg. Like he had a dynamite. Like it was Patrice used to go, but then it was like Todd Lynn, like just like
Patrice O'Neill.
Yes, yeah. If you could go and be a woman and a light-skinned bitch and make these motherfuckers laugh, then you can make money. You know, and I wasn't about that. Like I was into comedy because I loved it and it felt healing for me and I love connecting with people and I love that moment where I made people laugh and tickle them and surprise them that I was actually funny. And like I didn't get into comedy because I was like lonely or needed friends or like to date. You know, a lot of people like get into it because they're just like, how do I meet people? And it's like, this isn't like, you know, softball after work, sis. This is like, you know, you're gonna hear jokes about yourself and then you're gonna be the one that like, you know, was on their knees in that bathroom the whole time. And a lot of people were doing that and I was like not into it. I just like to keep it separate all the time. I don't like when my gravy touches the rice. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Thank you. And yeah, that was also like eye-opening because I was like, oh, this is whole world. You know, this is whole Def Jam world, but it's just like what's the peripheral circle, like the steps before Comic View and Def Jam. Yeah. And so that was like really interesting too, because you're going into neighborhoods where it's just like, okay.
As a legend of the Brooklyn scene.
Me?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're one of the comedians that people go like, who performed at Union Hall, Bell House, etc. Uh-huh. For people who do not know that, what was that experience like for you playing those rooms?
Awesome. I still want to play those rooms. I still play the Bell House when I'm trying out new material or like doing a podcast. It feels like going home. It's like a dinner party, but you're hosting. You know, it's like when you're moderating. It's like fun. And when I say easy, I mean like a safe space where you can like truly spaghetti theory, like any of them jokes. Yeah. Also like my crowd, you know, I used to back in the day, I'm like, it's fine to have people who think differently. Now I'm like, nah, give me that bubble, bitch. Give me that bubble. I want a bubble. I want like-minded motherfuckers. I'm not trying to change people's mind. Yeah. Been married for 17 years. I'm not trying to change nobody else's mind. Get out of here.
Do you have a definitive road story, playing the road?
Like what? Like touring, like colleges, like...
Whatever. I guess it's the pre-road before you are like, people are coming to see you on purpose, but you're still doing it and you're driving between wherever and wherever.
Yeah. You know, doing the colleges... back in the day for at least like 6 or 7 years, I really thought it sort of like hindered my voice as a comedian because I felt like I was just pandering to college students. 11 a.m. at a community college or 7 p.m. and people are showing up in like flannel pants for like free chicken tenders. And I'm just like, hey guys, here's a joke about me in college that I barely remember. You know, it took me places. I performed in 49 states. Do you know can you guess the state I haven't performed in?
Alaska?
Yes. How'd you know? Well, it's obvious.
Well, there's 50 states and 2 are harder to get to. And I was like, of the 2, which is the one less likely for you to get to?
Yeah. Yeah, that one.
I gotta go.
I gotta go. I think I might go for my 50th since it's like the 50th state. Aww. Yeah. And sell it to Netflix.
Buteau live from Alaska.
I know. It's just like me on a boat eating salmon. You know, in that time, like I couldn't see anything for myself. I was just like, it just felt like a very dark tunnel. I didn't know what the light would be. I just knew that there had to be one. Like my rate wasn't good. I think I was getting $1,500 and that's airfare and hotel included. These college kids take you out to dinner for way too long. I never need to be at TGIF Fridays before doing an hour of material for you. You know what I mean? Like the spinach dip, there's no spinach. And now I got bubble guts on stage. You know what I mean? It's like, what? And so it really kind of taught me how to like move through the world. Living in New York City is already like its own education because you really can go to any city in the world and like do you. But traveling to 49 states for like $800 to perform for people who don't know you, who don't care about you, is a different level of fuckery that will make you stronger. So by the time you get like an audition in front of like 3 very happy casting directors with like white jeans and denim shirts and flats. You're like, we're obsessed. That's fucking nothing. That's nothing. You're going to hurt my feelings? Like, I was in Staten Island and half of the students had their back to me. Ask Victor Fernato, he was there. He started yelling. He's like, can you turn around? And they were like, no. And I was like, literally, the college is called CSI. Don't fuck with them.
Yeah.
It's Staten Island. But like, yeah, I mean, traveling light, moving quickly in an airport, all those things.
For those who don't believe you, I used to do people that booked in when I went to college, and we booked.
Oh wow!
I believe Bill Burr opening for Kevin Hart, and when they played a movie theater, the only people that went were the committee that booked them.
Yeah.
So let's say 12 people that had to be there.
Yeah.
For people who both play.
Yeah.
Stadium.
Did you burn your budget for the both of them?
Not yet. They were still kind of.
Oh wow, affordable.
I'm old enough that.
Yeah.
That college was a while ago for both their careers.
Yeah, college is really for a comedian. It's like a third world country. It's like the haves and have-nots.
Yeah.
Like I remember, I wish I could be Daniel Tosh one day.
Yeah, I
remember. And make that money.
It's such a specific time where we could not afford Daniel Tosh.
It is. It's like TRL. Like you remember where you were. And
it's like we booked them, and then we booked Dane Cook, and Dane Cook was like would sell 10,000. It's just like the time where it's like, as we were saying, like now comedy so. Everyone knows comedians, but it was at a time where it's like most people knew one comedian at a time.
Yeah.
And that comedian was Dane Cook, and then it was Daniel Tosh.
Yes. And every other guy that had a name that started with D.
Have you interest to? Do you not play the Comedy Cellar?
Oh, what a question. So while I have love for institutions like the Comedy Cellar and the Comedy Store, because I do believe it's been like a safe haven for a lot of comedians, when I was starting, I had a hard time auditioning, going there, trying to find the right person, trying to figure out what the lay of the land is, who I'm supposed to talk to, because back in the day it was like you need to have like the okay from two people that work there, but they have to be like upper level okay, not lower level. And to me, I was just like really turned off by that, because I'm just like, we're all on a level. You know, as the only child that went to like so many new schools, I'm like, we're only in competition with ourselves. Like, stop. And so a lot of friends are like, I can get you in, but it just never felt like the right fit for me. And I think comedy clubs are an amazing place to start. To live if you want that. But I also had like not just like the Cellar or the Store. It's just like a lot of comedy clubs in general. Like we don't have a union as comedians. Yeah. And so we have to literally fight for every dollar, every chicken tender, every drink, you know, the door, the this or that. And I felt really uncomfortable with people making so much money off of my back. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I kind of have to like, I'm beholden to the same 15 minutes, because as one of two women or the only woman on the show, people are going to remember us if we don't kill, murder, violate.
Violate.
Monster truck.
I don't know if I've heard violate.
I don't know. It's just like anything aggressive to know that we're doing good. But like Rafifi and like all these like really cool alternative places that would like host their own shows and do their own thing, and there was like this great safe space where you could just try new shit. I'm just like, how about if I just mix that? How can I mix the metals? You know, can I have like a gumbo? Can I leave this night with some money in my pocket and not constantly ask like tired managers, is this okay? Is this okay? Is this okay? You know what I mean? And so it didn't even matter if I didn't know the audience or who I was getting in those seats. Just people in the seats is great.
Yeah.
People in the seats is great, but money in my pocket is also amazing. And we deserve that. That's not for everybody. That's just not for everybody. It's like everybody can't produce and everybody can't host. Some people are just meant to open, middle, headline.
Yeah.
You know? And some people can like really do it all. If you're like crazy enough to do that shit, good for you. You're supposed to. But yeah, I mean, I have friends who are like Cellar people, and I love that for them. But yeah, I'm really, what is it? The own drum playing to the beat of my
playing to beat it.
Yeah. And I've always been that bitch. 1 foot in, one foot in
Yeah.
each like little thing to be like, hey, y'all.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the Theragun joke from your special
Oh my God.
for a variety of reasons. But for those who haven't seen it, can you share the basic story?
How dare you? My kids are here.
They're not in the room.
They're not listening. They're not listening. My son's godmother is one of my really close friends. In fact, I wrote this character, Marley, after her in my show, Survival of the Thickest. And I had sciatica because I take care of kids and the patriarchy.
Mhm.
It's like, stuff happens. And I had a Theragun on the coffee table and she was like, oof, hot Friday night. And I was like, girl, you natty. And I was like, it literally has like gun in the name of it. And she's like, depends where you point it. And I'm like, yuck. I said, girl, it's my Theragun. It's got the word gun in it. And she said, depends where you point it. I said, girl. She said, girl, what? I said, girl, you stunk. She said, what? I looked at her. I said, girl. You like to get your pussy beat up like that? And like, she's such a quiet, like, bookworm. I just looked at her and I was just like, oh my God, do you like to get your pussy beat up like that? I had
You
no
said that
idea.
in the moment.
I did. That was like an actual rip from the headline. Yes. And we like cackled, like we have our fried green tomatoes moment all the time. But I was like, and there was so much more we said in the moment. Like I definitely like, edited that shit down. But I mean, these are the moments that I love to have with my friends and family where we could just like have a key. I remember when my husband from Holland, when he first moved here, he was like, I can't tell if you guys, it sounds like you guys are mad at each other, but you're laughing. I was like, that's what it is. And he's like, but it sounds like you're being mean. I was like, yeah, we're ripping on each other, but it's funny. You know what I mean? It's out of love. And now he knows how to do it a little bit, but I'm like, don't come for me. Unless I said for you, stop it. It's like, you still have to sleep with me at night. But yeah. And we laughed so hard, like we were crying. And I started going down the list of like women she's dated. And I'm just like, I don't know who anyone is anymore. And every time we talked about it, we would cry. And then I would like retell the story and then people would be cracking up. I'm like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah.
We gotta tell the story. And then like, my friends are very diverse from all walks of life. And so it is nice and funny and should be very normal to tell a story about a friend who happens to be gay and getting her pussy beat up by herself. You know what I mean? And not, put anything else on it except for like the love that we have for each other, and the razzing.
So you would tell it as a story. You tell your like other friends, and then you were like, if it works for them, I should take it on stage. Does it evolve when you do it on stage?
100%. Yeah, 100%. It's sort of like the difference between like a mom and pop shop and like Costco. You got to make it easy for the masses. And it's a real setup punch vibe. You know what I mean? But like the through line still lives up in there.
Yeah. How do you do that? Like, do you just, you have the memory of it, you talk it on stage and it just evolves per show? Like, what is your general process with a story like that?
Yeah. I mean, I do a lot of writing on stage. And then I have like those core friends where I'm just like, is this the thing or is this too long? And I have friends too who I'm like, is this offensive to you? Like, how do you take this?
Mm-hmm.
And I do a little check with the homies. But also, when I took classes in stand-up comedy from Steve Rosenfeld at American Comedy Institute, he always said, if it's a chuckle at an open mic, it can grow into a laugh.
Mm.
And so I never forgot that. And I think that was like rule number 3. I don't remember rule number 2, but rule number 1 was have fun. I think rule number 2 was take the mic out of the stand and then
put it down.
Yeah. These are like very basic, important rules, everybody. Learn them. So yeah, I was like, but also like, I love telling the story. So I'm like, people like also want to see me have fun.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm having fun. And sometimes it was, sometimes people were like, it was polarizing for some audiences, for sure.
For which aspect of it?
I think the sexual nature.
Got it.
I
That's
think.
what I assumed. I was like, I didn't know. I didn't.
Yeah.
It was just like too much. They're like,
I think so. I remember opening for Hassan at Radio City Music Hall like a couple of weeks before I was filming. And I was like, I'm going to do this joke on the stage and they'll love it. And I realized it was like very sweet conservative Indian people. And I was like, never mind, but I can't bail. So I like did it into the darkness.
There's no other version of that story where you start it and then it goes later.
No. And a lot of like comedians that sing songs will tell you, I hope the song works because I got to commit to this fucking song. Yeah.
So you have the joke. How do you decide to then like build to a larger point about like it's okay to make this joke?
I don't know how that happened. I don't know how it came together. I just remember being so offended and hurt and angry. But anytime I feel something, I'm like, and this is like my gentle parenting for my kids, you're not losing, you're always learning. So I'm like, how am I inspired? But like, how can I be inspired by this? How can I use this for good? How can I make myself feel better, but also make it a teachable moment? And how do I make things a teachable moment? It's always like laughter.
So specifically, it was tied to like, I'm going to say Dave Chappelle's name specifically in that moment. And specifically as a contrast to what you're trying to do. You set up, we can make jokes that make people involving communities and make them feel heard and seen.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do what you believe Dave Chappelle was doing.
Yeah.
And specifically, you say like the job is to be funny. Like what you're doing is not funny.
But all I'm saying is it can be done. It can be done. We can tell jokes and stories and not disparage a whole community. We can do that. We can make it funny. We just have to work at it, right? So if you guys ever run into Dave Chappelle, can you let him know that shit?
I mean, I used his name because, he's said some really egregious stuff about the trans community in 4 specials. And so I'm like, I have trans people in my life. I have non-binary people in my life. They like walking down the street shouldn't be dicey. You shouldn't be one date away from being killed. You know, my friend Peppermint, does a lot of work for the ACLU, and she has to remind people, I'm in my 40s as a Black trans woman. Statistically, I shouldn't even be alive right now. That's insane. And what I loved about Dave is that it felt like back in the day, he was punching up. It was the man.
Mm-hmm.
When did we become so rich and out of touch that we're like the men now?
Yeah.
And that was more just like a cry for help, a love letter, a hey girl, hey, a color purple, because I'm like, are we part of this community together or not? But, he's not the only one, but, I'm just like, if I'm going to say the thing, then I'm going to say the thing. And it was, a lot of people ask me, do you want to keep that in there?
People at Netflix or people in your
my life?
Yeah.
Yeah. People in my life. Netflix is really cool.
Yeah.
They're like really cool. They're just, especially the stand-up team.
Yeah.
Like Robbie and Gridge, they're cool. And they want to help people find their voice, and feed all the platforms,
So the people were like, do you want to keep it in? And you...
Yeah.
And did you debate taking it out? Or you just knew?
Never until like the day before.
Yeah.
Never until like... And like when you edit something and you put it in for like color mixing and then like audio. So like I'm just like, go.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And then like it's been in there, like in the doc, like fully loaded. And my special drops December 31st. I thought about it like December 30th. I was like, wait a minute. This is going to be a thing. But also, again, we're not promised tomorrow.
Yeah.
We live one life. I know who I am. I know what I believe. I know who I love. I feel like I know what's right. I'm not saying, and I literally said, I'm not saying don't say something, because a lot of comedians will be like, you can't say anything anymore. You can. I think you should make it funny. And if, people around the world are telling you this is hurtful, then maybe listen to them. I mean, we should all be held accountable.
Yeah. I mean, even you make this address funny. You have a joke in it. It's not like you're just like, stop the special, make joke. You have the goat joke.
Yes.
Which is goat. You are the goat. Goat means going off against trans people, going off about trans people.
Yeah.
Which is like, I think helps serve. I'll say this about it, which is like when I watched the special the first time, this made me cry this moment for a few reasons. But one, it's so immense, a person doing this, like knowing the platform that it's going on, knowing you're doing it in Radio City, the venue so associated with him. But like, partly because I know you and partly because I just know the situation. And then I know anyone around our age has a certain sort of reverence for Dave. That I was like, this is a person ultimately saying, I love comedy. This is what I hope comedy can look like. It's not like I hate Dave Chappelle, which was not the message of it.
Ever.
So it made me emotional as a person who clearly loves comedy, who I feel like feels a similar thing, which is like, my goal is not to never be able to watch Dave Chappelle ever again. The goal is like, hopefully, can they listen to a situation like this?
Yeah, but people don't get that.
Yeah.
And so what followed was a barrage of unsavory articles and just a lot of hate. But I'm not on Twitter like that. And I didn't realize in that moment like how transphobic and homophobic and misogynistic people are. Like I know, but I'm like, oh wow, I'm like getting it. And I'm the type of bitch, like I don't like drama, I don't like mess, but I will stand up for what's right. And yeah, I mean, I said what I said, and I would like love to talk to Dave about it.
Yeah. Have you heard from the other comedians? Did you hear anything about Dave?
No, I mean, people were like, I mean, there was like a handful of comedians who were just like, are you okay? Because I see you getting tagged in a lot of like stuff, because like people will always go to like, she's fat, she's not funny. It's just like, okay, Christian dad of 6, like how's the soccer game? I'm so used to that anyways, but I think I was just, I know that I was just really disappointed by how people were just like, you can't say anything. You can't say, and I'm just like, do you realize how dangerous that is? That people could say things here, but we can't disagree with them.
Yeah.
That's a very dangerous place. And the bigger picture is that's what we're going through, like everywhere, you know?
It's crazy to be like, you can't, a person like, comedian can say anything on stage except for criticizing the most famous comedian on earth.
Yeah, I remember when I saw you at Padma's game night. I don't remember what you said, but you're like, how you doing? I was like, I've been better. You're like, oh yeah, because you went after like the most popular comedian in the world. I was like, yeah, I guess. Or something along those lines.
Yeah, well, at first I was telling you how I liked the special, but
yes,
then it came up.
But that's like what I remember. I'm like, everyone knows.
Just not that many comedians have stands like an army like he does online, but like it reminded me of in your Netflix 15-minute set, like you have the joke about no one wants to see your dick, and it's like you say Louis C.K., which I imagine there are people in comedy being like, yeah, you could talk about Me Too on stage, but you should name the person in comedy most associated with it. And I think beyond the morality of it, it is bad art to speak vaguely. Like if you did this speech before Dave, you're like, okay, that's like a fine moment. But when you say it, the thing comes alive. And I think it reflects who you are as a comedian. That that next level is more difficult. It's more difficult to be the comedian who does that.
Yes.
But you did that. And that's part of a testament to the work that you're trying to do.
Thank you. I'm not doing comedy to be popular. I don't think it's a safe space to, I don't think it's a good thing or the right thing to treat people like they cannot be held accountable. That's really fucking dangerous for everybody. All that attitude is why priests can get away with they get away with. Why we have a convicted felon in the White House. Like we have to speak up. And I was really inspired by Hannibal Buress, my friend Hannibal, like back in the day, what was it, like 10 years ago, when he said some shit about Cosby on stage. I'm like, yeah. Because no one's believing women. Someone say something. Yeah. And so I will be that person, but I'm also going to make it funny and take home a check.
Yeah, because also a joke cuts through. Like, right? It's like, it's not like Hannibal Buress was a reporter. Hannibal Buress was just saying a thing offhand.
Yeah.
But it was in a funny enough context that it just sort of like, it was just a set. Like, how many it's just a set he was doing in like Philadelphia, I guess. So that's part of like,
Yeah.
but truly, it's like a joke can cut through in a way that just like saying the facts didn't. I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
And so, what I like about it is it fits into sort of the entire picture of what you're trying to do, includes like with what you're trying to do with your show. And I want to talk a little bit about Survival of the Thickest, but I want to back up a little bit to like 2018. You get the Netflix 15-minute set, and like sort of everything has really been up since then. Can you talk about like what your career looked like then and how you were feeling about it before the moment where like, because you would get opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
What did you make of those? How did you feel about those opportunities? How did you feel about how your career is going at that point? Because you get your first special like 20 years in or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. Life has always felt like I'm gonna like take my own way to get somewhere anyways. And I would much rather be a slow simmer than hot and fast.
Mm-hmm.
And so when people ask me questions like, how do I make money? I'm like, get good first. Can you go anywhere on a lineup and just destroy monster truck? You know what I mean? Violate, tickle. And I remember 2018, our surrogate was pregnant. I was filming or like just booked First Wives Club. I was about to film that. And then like Always Be My Maybe. I was like in Canada. I was in Canada. I was in Vancouver for that with Allie. And so there was this thing that happened when I was like, after 5 years of IVF, pumping myself up with hormones. And all those hormones are like just raging in my body. But like when my surrogate was pregnant, I was like, oh my God, I can like actually relax. But I still had like this chip and this edge, because even though like I had a really loving community and a lot of friends and family, I still felt very lonely, and just I had no one to talk to understand what I was going through. And so I would like take it out in auditions where I'm like, can I do a pass for me? And then I would just like go off on a fucking tangent. And sometimes I would cry and they're like, why are you crying? I'm like, I don't know. It's just a button. Okay. Feeling feelings. And so that's when I really started to book stuff, because I was like raw and ready and not giving a fuck. And I'm like walking into a room and just having people know that they can't fuck with you, I think is very powerful. And people are attracted to it, which is good for me, because that's what I got. And yeah, I like truly did not give a fuck. I really was just doing stuff for me. And this was like years and years and years of trying to be the nice person oh no, you can go ahead of me, you go. And you just like bending over backwards and forward, like for everyone. And so 2018 is when I really started not giving a real fuck, and then proper anxiety and panic attacks about being outside of my body, hoping that the surrogate is taking care of my twins that are growing. And then I welcomed those twins in 2019, and I was like, oh, you know, Jordan Carlos told me a long time ago, when you become a parent, you have to parent yourself. And I for real, I was like, don't be hungover. What does that mean? like Gatorade and Advil. And it was like, oh, okay, these people, you have to explain yourself and your decisions, and they're looking at you. And I remember my mom really wanted me to get our kids baptized. And the godmothers that I chose were longtime friends of mine, and they were both gay. And she was like, absolutely not. And I was like, oh, absolutely. Like, if we're all God's children, then let's take a ride. And so standing up, like, if I can stand up to my mom, then I can stand up to like Dave Chappelle. Like at the end of the day, we're just people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we have to do what's right for us. And we have to say the thing, because I cannot sleep unless I say the thing. And, you know, looking at my children, you know, there's like this meme that goes around every Pride. If you don't like gay people don't have children, you know, and I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. Like, we just have to help these little souls in the world be the best versions of themselves. Leave it better how we found it. What are we doing? So, oh my God, what was the question?
Just what is your life pre-breakthrough? What is your career like? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I was in a dark place, but like would pull myself out.
You mentioned Always Be My Maybe, and I think it's useful because you and Allie are of a specific group of people that like were working in comedy. People knew of you, but like where your audience was not where you're performing, because just the nature of they might not go out to comedy clubs assuming a person like you might be there.
Yeah.
And then you're put on this platform and those people are like, I've been waiting my entire life for a comedian to be like you or like Allie. And I was curious that right before you had that moment, you were shooting Always Be My Maybe, which was like the next step of it, which is, there's something really poetic about that. Do you have a story about shooting that was instructive of how you then approached your career going forward?
Yeah, Allie had she had, I think, like a 3-year-old and a baby at the time, and she was doing rewrites, and she was still jogging every morning, and just working with like Nanashka Khan, who was also a writer director, and just working with friends and having a very diverse set. And I was like, this is what it should be. And I was so, again, inspired. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And she kept saying, you're going to be huge. You're going to be huge. I'm like, girl, I'm just trying to be working. I'm trying to have that thick comma in the bank account, so I'm not worried. She's like, no, you're going to be huge. Just like keep going. I was like, where else am I going?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's like giving me like all this like really sage advice. I'm just like, for what? I'm fine. And I was like, oh my God, I guess I was not fine. I was out here. But I remember having a bit of a panic attack while putting on the pregnancy belly. Because everybody was so nice to me and they really thought I was pregnant. They're like, you look so good pregnant. Did you ever think about having kids? Because I didn't tell anybody about the surrogate, because you don't want to tell anyone until like they're born. And I was like, oh yeah, one day. And it was one of those things where I just had to figure out how to put on a happy face and keep it moving. But it also taught me to not assume. I don't assume if somebody is trying to have a kid or not. I don't assume that somebody wants to be married or not. I don't assume that somebody understands where they might be on the spectrum of fucking anything. It's just like, are you a good person? Do you need a Zyrtec? Like that's that's where we're at right now.
So Survival of the Thickest depicts a different New York than I think has been on camera before, even if you like look at background actors or like the can you tell a story or a memory or something that captures your version of New York, and then sort of how that version of New York is the one you wanted to put on screen?
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Jersey, and I remember like sneaking out and driving my 76 Camaro to New York with my Puerto Rican and Black friends and Haitian friends, and just like, parking like definitely in a place I shouldn't have been parked, and going to the Limelight and seeing the queens and the club kids and the hoes in training and like the wannabe like hip hop heads. And that was when I was like 15, 16. And then when I finally got to live there when I was in my 20s, I was like, this is so cool. Like, what a low budget Sex in the City. Like, we don't have Cosmos. We have a whole picture of, I don't know what the fuck this is, diabetes. Like, and so there was always like the Puerto Rican Day Parade and the Caribbean Carnival and the Eastern Parkway. And, even in Jersey, having family in Brooklyn and Queens and Staten Island, we go on the weekends. I'm just like, there are so many different flags and smells and languages and nationalities that I'm just like, where is it? And why are these people always depicted as like a bank robber, and especially working in local news, I'm so tired of a perp walk or an athlete. And I'm like, there's so much of us in between us, Black and brown communities. And so I'm just like, I'm so tired of seeing this narrative where we're either feared or a fetish. And I'm just like, we're also just normal ass people that want to like pay our rent, have a window with it like on a tree lined block and keep it moving. You know what I mean? And like date someone who might call us back or whatever the fuck. And so I'm just like, where is that? How can I find it? And, I love TV. I love TV the way I love comedy. I don't mind watching it when it's bad too, because I like to see where people want to go. Check back in 5 years, or like, again, Wilson Vince told me back in the day, you learn from bad shows more than good shows. And I'm like, I use the same rule for TV too. I'm like, okay, that's why. Is that an inside joke? Because that's a wild choice.
With the show, how do you balance your desire to depict the reality of living in these times with your desire to depict the world you want to see? Right? The show has a balance of those two. How do you see it? Are there examples of like, okay, I want to put this on screen while also acknowledging the reality of how this might be hard living? I was thinking about how Peppermint, the trans drag queen, has a wedding this season.
Yeah.
So yeah, how do you think about that?
before we start a writer's room, I just like have wish fulfillment.
Mm.
Things that I'd love to do. I mean, like it's based off, essays in my book, but the main theme is like the themes, right? Like that's the main thing, like the mission statement. So like while we can pick like little moments that have happened, like I really did get gum stuck on a guy's dick in the backseat of a taxi. Gonzalez and Gonzalez, those daiquiris are strong. And that Dominican guy shouldn't have gave me gum before he asked me to suck his dick. So that's not on me. That's on him. Yes, I'm victim shaming, but we found him an ER that was open. Okay. And I'm sure he made it back to Punta Cana okay. But also, it's his fault.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he wearing sweat socks with patent leather shoes? It was all wrong, but it was also right. The point is, my kids are here, by the way. Awesome. But, wait, what was the question?
How do you balance trying to depict reality and depict wish for
so
what
this
you
is the
wish
great
for?
thing about a writer's room and having like amazing showrunners that know how to build story. So I know what I want to see. I know what I want to play. I know like whether it's something hilarious or like sincere and important. Like I already have those things going on, and then like that's the main thing I ask from my amazing boutique writing team too, because I'm like, you got to live a life. And you got to have opinions, and you got to know what New York is like, or at least some sort of like city center, because it's like shared space. And then when we talk about all the things that have happened to us, or that like we want to happen, or that we would love to see, I love my showrunner who can like funnel it into like, but how does this affect Mavis?
Yeah,
it's funny. The first season was just like a lot of big ideas and set pieces and jokes, but also like a lot of heart. And it was just like all instinct. And then the second season, I was like, oh, I could see it before it even happens. And that was like really fucking magical. And now with season 3, I'm just like, I can see it. I can do it. I'm like, I want to get in there. Like, do I want to direct an episode? I'm just like, let's just push ourselves to like do the hard thing. Cause that's what makes it like better and more fun.
You used to tell the story of how you decided to do stand up, and people would ask you, you should be a comedian. And you say like, I don't want to be a comedian. And you say, I like making money and I like having sex. And comedians don't make money and they don't have sex, or their sex is bad or something like that.
Yeah, they always complain.
Yeah. And I did think this show, we are talking about money, but this show is the comedy of a person who wants to have sex that is good, not a show where it's like, oh, sex is an opportunity to make jokes.
Yeah.
I know. I want to talk about like, how do you make comedy out of good sex?
Oh my goodness. How do I make comedy out of good sex? What a good question. What? Okay, Barbara Walters. I don't know if you make comedy out of good sex. I think...
Or comedy that has that in it. How do you how allow space for it?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's like the moment before, the moment after. Because I think seeing a size 18, 20 body actually be loved down is revolutionary somehow. So, the first time my character Mavis has sex with Luca in episode 3 in season 1, she gets gum stuck in his dick in the backseat of a taxi. And she's like, well, this is a bad day. He's like, it can get better. And it did. And then in episode 3, it's the Hohen episode, I suppose. For season 2, my character is learning how to to have casual sex, to ask for what she wants. Because she's an adult now, she could send food back in a restaurant. So she's like, I'm really on my voice. And there's definitely like, moments where it's like, oh, you say the wrong thing, or something can slip out of one of your holes, like like a queef or something.
Sure. Not
like the answer to a test.
Got it. Good.
Great. Yeah, but I don't know. I just feel like good sex is good sex. It's like good food, but something could happen. You could like choke on that food or have it stuck between your teeth.
Yeah,
Did I answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. It's an abstract question, so it's
it really is.
It just seemed purposeful, considering that is part of, again, you're depicting how the show. And it's different. So preparing for this, I had a thought.
Oh my God.
About your work and sort of what makes you distinct from most comedians ever, almost any comedian I can think of, and which is more than I think almost any comedian I can think of right now, you allow the audience to love you.
Oh, wow.
Like, I think a lot of comedians, to different degrees, comedy is a defense mechanism. Comedy is a way to keep people distance. They might let you love their persona or you love their act. I think a lot of comedians, but most part, they do not want to give the audience the opportunity to do that because that is more dangerous. It's more vulnerable to be allowed to be loved.
Yeah.
It's trusting the audience.
Yeah.
Do you feel that? Where does that come from? How did you allow yourself the freedom to be open to your audience in that way?
Are you gonna make me cry?
We'll see.
I might. I think it's just a good old. Right, here it comes. I think it's a good old being the person that you never had. Growing up, at work, in college, on screen. Yeah. So showing up for people the way someone hasn't shown up for you.
Can you remember a moment or a show where it felt like your audience and you really had each other? You were there for them and they were the audience.
I mean, both specials feel like, and I mean, I was even on the phone with the bank this morning trying to get my card because of my wallet. Trying to get my card turned on, and the lady was like, "Buteau," and I was like, "It's Buteau, like bureau with the it's like bureau with the T." And she's like, "Oh my god, like that comedian." And I was like, "I am that comedian." She's like, "Sis, I'm from Jersey. I'm a big girl." And it's like, what? And so, like, just to have this key all the time is just like, that's to me really special, and that's. I mean, I'm gonna keep going anyways because I'm a crazy bitch, but that just like fills me in a way that I don't have the vocabulary for. And so, I mean, that's the thing that matters. It's like, yeah, making people laugh, but giving them a light when they've had a very dark time. Like DMs from people who are like, I didn't think I was worthy of love. Now I'm wearing color. This is the first time I've laughed since my husband's cancer came back. I'm able to go to a show with my non-binary child. Like it's so insane that it's really just that easy to love, and you still can be funny. Like you still can make money and be funny and make the millions and millions of dollars and fly on your private jets everywhere you got to go, and still make people feel good. And so that's like, it really has become my life's purpose, but not in a way where I'm like, what's that guy's name? Tony, what's his name?
Robbins.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, yeah. You know what I mean? It's just like, what's up, lady at Citibank? I hope you got your good bra on, sis. Leave that wire at home.
So now it's time for the final segment of the show. It's called the Laughening Round. It's like a lightning round.
Okay.
But laughing because it's comedy. Do you have a favorite joke, like a street joke, dad joke?
Oh my God, yeah. So my dad used to tell this joke at dinner parties. My wife always wants to talk to me after sex, and I will if there's a phone around. And then I found out like decades later it was Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah. But
when you say it with a Haitian accent, it really
That's
hits.
a very different cadence.
It hits different. It's still,
Is there a joke from another comedian you wish you could steal? A joke where it's you're like, I wish that was mine. I can have it. You're not stealing it in a stealing way, but it's another dimension where you have.
Oh
this
my
joke.
God, who do I quote? I mean, Jodie Wasserman had this joke when I first started, which was like amazing, and it was about her dating, and like this was back in the day, so it was like answering machines. It's like, what are we living in? The Wire on HBO, and she would call someone, they wouldn't call her back, and then she'd call them back the next day and be like, "Hello, I'm returning my phone call." And just the way she did, I think she still does that joke, and it's just like, ugh,
It's really
yeah,
funny.
it's like pancakes at IHOP, but actually, like, there's this joke from Chappelle back in the day where he's just like. He's like, a threesome? He's like, 2 women and 1 man. Love, so much love. I'm paraphrasing. And then he's just like, 2 men and 1 woman. She's being turned around like a rotisserie chicken. And I was like, I love sex. I love rotisserie chicken. Right on point. But also Bernie Mac, talking about his like nephew getting cookies and milk. Now that I have kids, like, him downstairs. Milk and cookies. Like, it's just so good.
Do you have a short story of an interaction with a legendary comedian, living or dead, you'd be willing to share?
I remember doing the Joan Rivers tribute last year, what's space for time? And my husband actually found Joan Rivers's desk. Joan's desk at I think it was Housing Works when she passed away. And I was like just like about to write. Well, I guess it was like in transit. And then I was like trying to write this book and I was having a hard time. He's like, I know you love Joan. Here's the desk. And like the energy, there was a great juju. I still have the desk. I wrote the book on the desk.
Oh, wow.
But I remember talking to Melissa Rivers. I'm just like, what's it like hearing jokes about you? Because like my kids are going to watch this special one day. And I'm like, what's it like? And she's like, Mom always said it's a family business. Buck up. And I was like, oh, fuck.
That's right.
Heard. So that was like a very lovely interaction that I will like never forget.
What's the best advice you've taken?
God, I think I've like kind of peppered it throughout, but like don't tell yourself no and go into rooms where you're the worst. Don't worry about the money, it will come. No one ever told me to trust my instinct. No one ever told me that.
Well, you already did.
Not even my mom.
To tell you that. Yeah.
Not even my mom. My mom was like, work against it. It's not polite. And I'm like, I'm like, I have an ulcer in the 5th grade. Girl, what's going on?
So we're going to do a Mount Rushmore of Mount Rushmores, which is 4 Mount Rushmores.
Okay.
So 4 different Mount Rushmores, but because it's Mount Rushmore's 4. So,
oh my God.
Do you have a Mount Rushmore of comedians?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you have a Mount Rushmore of drag queens?
Yes.
Can you share?
Can I do a mix?
You can do whatever you want.
I don't.
I just asked the question. You can answer them however you want.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. This is because I just feel like there's too many.
The first 4 that come to your mind, 4 and be like, don't worry, we won't be mad at you. You can create a boundary so it's in a specific context so that, that you're like, well, it has to be these 4. It can't be these 4.
Okay. RuPaul, Wanda Sykes, Prince, Whitney Houston.
So what is that? Wait, that's just a Mount Rushmore of people?
Yeah, the people like artists that have done good.
Do you have a Mount Rushmore of 4 favorite words to say in Dutch? Your husband is Dutch.
Yes. Ik hou van jou, which means I love you.
4 favorite neighborhoods in New York City. Mount Rushmore of neighborhoods.
4?
4 neighborhoods in New York City.
Oh God. No, it's really just about Brooklyn, honey. What are you talking about?
Well, it's different neighborhoods in Brooklyn. You can just go down.
Oh my God. Okay. Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn Heights, Clinton Hill, Coney Island.
Oh. What is a joke that didn't work, but you'll go to your grave being like, that's funny, everyone was wrong?
No,
that doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't. It's like, girl, yeah, put it down.
What is the best time you bombed?
I'm trying to think of a joke that's like, but I'm really trying to think of the joke now.
All right, well, you can take time. We have only one question left, which is the best time you bombed. So take as much time as you want.
No, I don't remember.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll no one will even know I asked the question, so it doesn't matter.
That is hilarious.
That's how editing works.
No, but keep it in. This is nice.
Let's just have this moment where you're
thinking, kind of where I like, are you guys, can you smell that? My brain just farted. Bombing.
What is the best time you bombed?
Best time I bombed was like, it was just pretty much for like 2 years at colleges. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, if it's sort of like if a tree falls in the woods, like, who knows? Those kids don't remember. Just only like the 3 like people that hired me who like still follow me.
The idea that there's a generation of people who are now just working professionals that have no idea that you bombed in front of them or behind them.
Yeah, they're like, Kim Coles was wild. She was really dirty.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh my God, this was so fun.